Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. Hopefully, you could hear me and see me. You guys put in the chat. Let me know that you could hear me and see me. I do have problems with my camera. They're not working right, of course, but we're going to try to work it out. Okay. Um, so today we do have a special guest on today's live stream. Miss Cara Wilson is joining us, and she's going to help us put together the pieces surrounding her daughter's tragic death. Okay, um, Alexis Wilson. If you don't or you're not familiar with the story, Alexis Wilson, she lost her life by police officers of the village of Dolton police officers, and so we're going to discuss that. Okay, so we do have a guest today, so you guys stay tuned. All on today's episode of Business Talks. Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bap. What? This is what you call a bap. Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bap. What? This is what you call a bap. You guys put in the chat. Let me know where you're viewing from. Put in the chat. Let me know where you're viewing from. Let's see who we have in the building. John Q, it's always good to see you. Stop the violence. Justice for Alexis. Noble Young is in the building. We have Ebith H. Good evening to you. Yuck. Food Tube. Okay. Yes and yes. And Jim Buckley is in the building. Thank you for tuning in. And John QQ is tuning in from New York. You guys, I really appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. Okay. I typically don't have this type of guests on my show. I am an advocate supporter of police. However, I do not feel that police should be able to do whatever the hell they want to do. I just don't. I'm not an advocate of police officers just because you didn't follow a damn command. They're the judge, jury, and the executioner. I don't believe that. I think this climate that we have, everybody is on this racial tension. I don't think. What am I getting at? I don't think the police officers that's out there, patrolling the streets, you have 99% or maybe 95% of them are good. And then you have these few that think they could do whatever the hell they want to do to citizens. Like I said, they think they're the judge, jury, and the executioner. So we're going to discuss Alexis Wilson. We have Cara Wilson on our stream. Hi, Cara. Miss Wilson.
Hey there. Like, where's my camera? Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I had problems with the camera too.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so we do have you on the stream. I really appreciate you for joining us and just taking the time out. I know it could be some painful things to relive and re-encounter because you're talking about your baby. You're talking about a child that you gave birth to and you raised her up until she was a young adult, and she didn't even get the chance to really live her life because it was cut short all of a young age of 19. Yeah. And so my condolences goes out to you and your family. I know, not as a mother, but I know how it feels to lose a life. And you have so many questions and you feel like people are just making some shit up that didn't even happen. So so I that's why I really wanted to have you on the show, just to set the record straight. And from the videos that you sent me and to what I saw on the news, totally different story. They painted
Absolutely.
Alexis like she was just this crazed individual,
Hmm.
and I think she was just a scared young lady, really.
Absolutely.
You
She
know?
was afraid and she ran.
Yeah,
Um, and if you see the video, she had every right to be afraid.
yeah, yeah.
Um, you have a grown man punching a 19-year-old 100-pound girl. She was
Mhm,
100 pounds, size zero, itty bitty girl,
mhm.
getting hit full force by a grown man.
Yeah,
And from thank you, John Q. From his video, it actually looks like he's hitting her with his flashlight in
yeah,
his hand.
yeah,
So he delivers two blows and she runs. Who wouldn't?
yeah. I could remember when I was about Alexa's age. I remember a cop tried to stop me. Instead of me stopping, I pulled out, and I don't know why I was so afraid because I'm 45, so back then they wasn't talking about police brutality like that. But I remember just I kept on driving until I saw a neighbor's house. Then I ran and knocked on her door really fast. And nothing ever happened to me. Actually, the cop was like, "What the hell is wrong with you? Why are you, you know?" But fast forward to these days, it seemed like they shoot first and ask questions later. They don't even,
They can.
yeah, because they made these rules. I guess this, hey, they got this protection,
The
um,
qualified immunity, yeah.
qualified immunity that you can't really seek justice. Um, and then they continue to, they get suspended or on paid leave. Well, you didn't even, investigate the scenario.
Well, the officer, the what I call him Puncher Man, the Puncher Man,
Hmm.
Officer Perez had killed three others prior to her and should not have even been available that night. He should have been on a desk because he was still fighting cases. Um, One where he was acquitted, and then the family of that person appealed the acquittal, and so the acquittal was appealed, and so
Hmm.
he's got to face a judge for this. They
Hmm.
found that he wasn't qualified. He wasn't covered by qualified immunity in that case. So, but already three deaths on his hands when he
Hmm.
shows up to this incident.
Hmm. Oh, and I believe, okay, so before we get into Officer Perez, I want to share with our audience what WGN News is saying or what they displayed. And then I want to get
Oh,
into
oh, all right.
Drinking Gourd. Who is that? John Q's or this
No,
is
that's
somebody?
that's another guy. John Q, I think was a day or two ago.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so I had just those two had been done where someone had actually sat down and analyzed. And Shay from Late Night Crew, he'd also done so, like sat down and really looked at this video frame by frame, even though it's the edited version. Now, if the edited version looks this bad, right?
Right,
What
right.
does the raw footage look like? Because if you see the drinking gourd guy, he showed you how many camera angles were available
And
and
you
then
don't
how many
see
they actually used.
exactly, and that's why I say is something suspicious about that. Okay, if you're gonna tell the public, oh, she did all these things and she's such a bad person, well, why can't we see all these videos of her doing these bad
Prove it.
things? Prove it. So yeah, let me just get to I think I want to show WGN
Mhm.
first because they this particular
And their story
video.
changed numerous times all over the news. The story changed so many times. What I do know about that is the truth does not change.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You're absolutely right. Um, Let me just share this. Can you see my screen? Are
I
you
can.
okay? Okay, so this is WGN, and they're actually, I think this video actually got like 1.1 million views. And
And
some of the comments on this video is like,
you see,
it's,
I sent you a
it's
few that
terrible.
I've received recently, but this is part of the reason I fight so hard to get the truth out, because people are actually telling me she got what she deserved.
And even if I had to push back on that, Miss Wilson, because even if she was acting belligerent, okay, you didn't give me my food and you didn't give me my money. Is that worth the bullet? Come on now.
Definitely
You,
not.
I'm okay. I'm a belligerent customer. You're gonna kill me for that? To me, and I'm kind of questioning. Well, before I get into that, let me just share this video with you.
Okay.
Newly released videos show a fatal encounter between a female driver and Dolton police. Before it was all over, shots were fired, an officer was dragged, and the vehicle crashed into a store. There's your video today. Good afternoon to you. I'm Lourdes Duarte.
And I'm Ben Bradley. 2 officers were injured. The driver was killed. Now, this all started with an argument at a restaurant drive-thru last week.
WGN's Julian Cruz is live in Dolton with more on that stunning video. Julian.
Well, Lourdes, we've got some new developments. Family of the late Alexis Wilson and their lawyers scheduled to hold a press conference here in about a half an hour, demanding that Dolton police release the full, unedited, raw versions of the surveillance cameras and body camera video. Dolton police releasing a condensed version of those videos earlier today.
The vehicle is being used as a weapon, and the officer obviously was in fear for his safety.
With the Dolton patrol officer hanging out the passenger side door of this minivan, the young motorist, 19-year-old Alexis Wilson of Homewood, flees the scene, a fast food restaurant on the 900 block of Sibley Boulevard, with Dolton police officers opening fire.
Once the vehicle actually hit the street, there was a series of gunshots that were heard. The officer responded to those gunshots by firing his weapon.
Some of those shots coming from the patrolman hanging out the door, Dolton's chief explains at a morning press conference. Wilson and her vehicle with the officer all crashing together into a nearby bicycle shop. You can hear the badly injured patrolman after the crash, his name or age not being released, as he recuperates in an unnamed hospital. Whether Alexis Wilson was killed by a bullet or the impact of the crash, an open question for now. The Illinois State Police Public Integrity Unit, heading up the investigation, yet to release details on the autopsy, with results from toxicology reports still pending.
In the climate of today, it is very important for the public to see both sides of the incident.
Dolton's police chief releasing the nearly 30-minute-long edited video from the fateful morning of July 27th. Police body cams and restaurant security cameras capturing the tragic incident.
The female driver was asked numerous times to step out of the car.
Police called to the scene initially by a 911 call with reports of an irate woman banging on the drive-through window of Baba's restaurant. Employees reporting that they saw a gun.
We're not really trying to go over there because nobody wants to get shot in here. Step out.
But lawyers for Wilson's family say this snippet of video shows police punching the teen in the face, precipitating her attempt to escape, they say. Now, one complicating factor, the video shows Alexis Wilson, who was wearing nothing but a halter top, telling police that she did not want to step out of her minivan because she was naked. Police fearing that she had a gun. They say that Illinois State Police are in possession of the weapon that was recovered at the crash scene. The family telling us that the teenager did not carry a weapon. In Dolton, Julian Cruz, WGN News.
Okay, so that was the news, WGN news report. Okay,
there's a hidden business loophole.
Let me turn that off. And you see that they tried to say that she drove off with the officer in the car. Now, Miss Wilson, can you tell me if if the officer that they claim was injured was actually injured. Was he actually hanging out the car?
No, that man had climbed completely into my vehicle. He was sitting in my passenger seat when he delivered those 7 shots.
Okay. Okay. And that's what I, looked when I kept on replaying the video.
You see no one hanging out.
No one was hanging out the car. Actually, the car door was shut.
Closed.
Yeah,
He
it was closed.
in the vehicle, sitting next to her. My child had her hands at 10 and 2.
Right.
The whole time they talked to her, the entire time, because we're taught to always keep your hands showing. She didn't even know they were looking for a gun. What I find interesting too is that the video, they always show, they always let you hear that cop at the end moaning.
Yeah.
Where's all of Alexis' screams at? They took all of her screams out. Okay. So I know, because I didn't watch it myself. My attorney watched it and kind of gave me a play-by-play. It was something I didn't want to see. But as she hits that corner, again, he's knocked her glasses off her head. So she's got her face all the way, up to the steering wheel. As she makes that right turn, she then sees him and she starts screaming.
Because she didn't know he was in the car.
She didn't know he was in the car. She starts screaming and that man just starts shooting her. Point blank range, sitting next to her in my car. 2 bullets to her head. Those are kill shots. You meant to kill her. And then 5 down her side, right? And what's consistent with that? Her having her hands on that steering wheel, right? So he got her here, and then down her side. Her hands are still at 10 and 2.
Yeah, yeah. And what was
commands given? He gave no commands
while he was in the car with her.
She literally saw him, started screaming, and he started shooting. And they took that out.
Okay.
They also edited out because there was a woman cop on the scene.
Okay.
So when a young woman is saying, "I'm not dressed,"
they should have had that woman cop deal with her.
Now, on that, you realize 52 seconds passes. He punches. She takes off. 4 seconds later, she's dead. 1 minute. 1 minute of an encounter. But like I said, they let you hear the cop at the end moaning. What they didn't let you hear is what he said. What he said was, he said, "Come get me." He said, "Subject down, come get me." And they said, "Where are you, partner?" He says, "I'm in the car." He says, "I'm in the car." They kept that out. The first punch that Perez delivers, the woman cop on the scene goes, "Whoa!" They pull that out. That's not in the video they're showing either. So every sound bite, everything that looked like they did something wrong, they tried to pull it out. Or anything that would garner sympathy for this 19-year-old girl.
Right.
So they pull all that out and they try to leave in what makes her look bad. But it to me, because I've watched it a numerous times, because I know and I see, they still look wrong.
It leaves so much room for questioning. I when I watched the video and just the news video, I just like, okay, why? Number one, why would a cop pin himself in between the drive-through door and her door? That's really odd to me. Why would any cop?
And how is she going to get out?
How would she get out? Exactly. She's right at the drive-through. You think anything, "Hey, ma'am, could you pull over to the side? We need to talk to you."
Any kind of conversation.
Yeah.
He didn't offer her any type of conversation.
Yeah.
Get out, get out, get out. What did I do? Why do I have to get out? And right before he punched, she goes, "Officer." And then he punches her and she goes, "Oh." And then she goes, "What are you doing?" And he punches her again.
Yeah.
But even her going, "What are you doing?" They took that out as well.
This mother.
Yeah. Like I said, it's really sad that and to me, I blame Tiffany Henyard and what was the police chief? Does he have the authority to release
Collins.
all? Yeah, Officer Police Chief Collins, which he's not there anymore. You think they will release all the videos because they don't have nothing to hide, right? If you don't have nothing to hide, you release everything. Besides, I guess you don't want people to see, Alexis actually, you don't want to see that gory evidence, but just
everything
leading up to it, it leaves more questioning. And then what happened to Baba's camera? What happened to their camera? They only just showed that one part where the police officer is standing there, and they don't show him.
That's because he's punching her, and it clearly shows that he's punching her. So they left out any video that you can clearly see, because day one, that video that Baba, a kid, one of the workers had recorded from their camera system, you can see him punching her. And that's what made us get up and go to the police station, like, oh, he's punching her, but they to have them kill her, come to my door and tell me and release those statements at the same time, saying that crazy, irate, gun, trigger words, naked, yelling at, but really the officer showed up irate. They didn't see her hit that window. So they showed up irate while she's in a state of confusion, and you didn't even give her one whole minute to even comprehend what was happening. Not 1 minute.
What now? The people that made the claims that she had a gun,
they cut that out too, because an officer asked them at the end of this, at the end of the video, when she pulls off, and that officer starts shooting her, they hear the shots. The female officer is asking an employee at the store, "Did you see a gun?" And she goes, "Huh? Did you see a gun?" No gun.
Oh God.
So they omitted that from the footage. That's why I need the entire body cam released.
Oh, that's horrible.
They knew she didn't have a gun. So 4 officers pull up, because she banged on a window, a bulletproof window with a plastic stick.
Yeah. And then
the guy tells her, he goes like this. So she sits back, they relax, they think they're waiting for their corrected order.
Right. Well, you could see that she was totally calmed down in.
She's on her phone. She's just waiting for her food. She had no clue why they were there. She had no clue. He made her afraid immediately.
Yeah. This next video I want to show now. This guy, he does a great job.
He did. Absolutely.
Of breaking it down. That's why I want to show. He has it actually divided in 2 parts. If you guys go give this guy a follow. His name is Drinking Gourd, Gourd, Drinking Gourd. He does a good analysis of the breakdown of like what actually happened and why we have so many questions in regards to Alexis Wilson death. So I'm going to play this for you guys.
The American voter feels. Hello everyone, Asagai from Drinking Gourd. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to revisit Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed super mayor of Dolton, Illinois. Tiffany has come under a lot of fire lately for her spending and potential cover-ups of sexual allegations. But when digging, you find a whole lot more. Today we're going to talk about a potential police execution cover-up. This story is all about a 19-year-old girl shot at point-blank range by Dolton police officer Jared Carlton. This incident occurred in July of 2021, just a few months after Tiffany Henyard took office. About a week after the incident, the Dolton police released the edited body cam footage to the public. This footage shows exactly what they want you to see, and not the whole story. To this date, the entire body cam footage of all officers involved have not been released by Tiffany. First, we're going to look at what was released to the public and aired on the news. Then, we'll break down what we've seen and what is not there.
The family of a woman shot and killed by Dolton police speaks out as video of that deadly encounter is made public.
The 19-year-old was killed just over a week ago.
Tia Ewing is live in Studio 32 with more. Tia?
Well, the family of Alexis Wilson, they questioned why all of the video was not released by police, and they claim she was shot 7 times at close range.
There's a person outside with a gun, and they're knocking on the caller's window.
Workers inside Baba's famous steak and lemonade in Dolton on Sibley Boulevard called for police on July 27th. At one point, the male passenger gets out. In this angle of the video released by Dolton police, you see 19-year-old Alexis Wilson hitting the drive-through window with an object that police say was not a gun.
Yeah, they're here. Okay. I see you guys. Pull up. Go get that.
The male passenger complies with Dolton police. Wilson pleads with the officers.
I'll tell you in a minute. What's going on? I'll tell you in a minute. I'll make you. But then cover yourself up with that rope or something.
Body camera video from the passenger side shows what happens next. Wilson's family insists the 19-year-old was punched in the face by the officer.
It can be assumed that it's a punch, but I can't assume that it is, and I can't assume that it isn't.
Wilson's family questions why only portions of the video was released.
We don't have the power to pull body cam. We don't have the power to edit things. This is not a movie. You don't have the right to edit things to make it the narrative you want it to be.
The officer on the passenger side held onto the van as it crashed into this bike store. He's still in the hospital.
Our condolences go out to the family, obviously. And like I said to you earlier, that's absolutely something that no one wants. We didn't want it, and I know they didn't want this either.
A loaded handgun with an extended clip was recovered. Police don't know who that belongs to. Illinois State Police are continuing their investigation. Live tonight, Tia Ewing, Fox 32 Chicago. Natalie?
As we break down this footage, we're going to include an interview with Alexis Wilson's mother, Cara Wilson. Cara gives an account of what happened, apparently by body cam footage that she was privileged to see that the public was not. Let's take a look. We'll start off with what's known as an establishing shot. We'll call this view camera 1. Next, we go into another establishing shot, which will be camera 2. Then we have 2 officers wearing body cams, which we'll call cameras 3 and 4. Next, we have 2 more officers that arrive, which will be cameras 5 and 6. Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson for this interview with Cara Wilson. Let's hear her account of what she saw from the body cam.
Officers show up in force, guns drawn, surround the vehicle. They have 2 empty police cars. They pull up in 2 police cars to block her in, right? So they have their 2 police cars parked in front of my vehicle, and she's in the van in the drive-thru. They come out, guns out, yelling, screaming, get out the car, get out the car. I can hear her and what I've heard her like, I'm not dressed. What do I gotta get out for? I think she told them they took my money, they took my food. Why do I gotta get out? So she had no idea why they were even there. No idea. Now in 52 seconds, mind you, 52 seconds, not even 1 whole minute of them asking her to get out the car. This officer holsters his gun, pulls his right arm and his right leg back and prepares to punch her. He opened her door. Opened her door. Yes. And he took the step back and he prepared to punch her, to deliver those punches. So she gets hit and she goes, oh! And she's, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he punches her again. So you see her head snapping back. And this is what kills me, because the news is still reporting that they don't know if she was punched. Yet you can clearly see this man punching her in her face. So he's punching, he punches her, he gives her at least 2 blows to the face. That second blow, I think she realizes she's in motion. I say that because the car kind of juts forward a little bit before she actually takes control of it. Right? And when she takes control of it, now she's like this, because mind you, he's knocked her glasses off her face. She can't see. So she's at 10 and 2 with her face out the window. So she's trying to get away. She puts her foot on the gas. She barrels through the cars in front of her. At first, she actually tries to find a way around the cars, but Puncher Man is right in this window. And so she just takes off. There was no officer in front of the vehicle. There was no officer in either of the cars. Every officer around the vehicle jumped back, except for what is his name?
On the passenger side.
Gerard Carlton? Okay, Officer Carlton.
Remember
jumped in the vehicle. Everybody else jumps back.
The passenger,
jumps in.
The passenger door was open because they had taken
right.
Her and her boyfriend went to the restaurant. The boyfriend had gotten out the vehicle. The officer was standing between the door and the car. He was standing there with his hand on his gun. When she pulled off, he jumped into the vehicle instead of stepping back. He jumped into the vehicle before she got to the street, which was, I don't know how many feet. She was gone.
Maybe 12 feet.
She was gone.
She hit the corner. As she makes that right turn, that's when she sees him in the car with her. And this child lets out a blood-curdling scream. And he starts hitting her with bullets. He put 2 in her head and 5 down her side. She was an organ donor with no organs left to donate.
Wow.
He executed my child.
Our condolences and prayers go out to the Wilson family for their tragic loss. Now let's look at the footage and see why what is not there is more important than what is. Let's first take a look at the most important aspect of this story, the thing that led to Alexis's death. The bone of contention is whether or not she was punched. See, this video only shows an angle from Officer Carlton's body cam, camera 4. However, another view would have shown us a clearer picture as to what really happened. Let's remember the establishing shot of camera 2. It shows clearly the driver's side and the officer at the door. If there was a punch thrown, this camera would have clearly shown what happened. Let's not forget camera 1, as we can see the driver's side as clear as day. Even though we're not privileged to those angles, this angle still tells quite a bit of the story. If you look, Officer Perez on the driver's side has already holstered his weapon. His flashlight is still in his hand. Watch the light as it jumps very quickly just before her head snaps back. It's unclear which hand he had it in, but whatever motion he made caused that light to flash very quickly and all around the front seat. Also, another observation made from this footage is that Officer Carlton had already begun to jump into the vehicle before Alexis took off. He was already in the front seat before her foot hit the gas. Again, camera 1 would have been ideal for this footage. We would have been able to see whether Perez punched Alexis and exactly when Officer Carlton jumped into the vehicle. And let's not forget the officer that stepped away from the vehicle as she drove off. That was camera 6. She had a clear view of Officer Carlton and when he jumped in. The most important view is that of camera 4 when Officer Carlton jumped into the vehicle. That camera angle would have shown everything that transpired right up until the shooting. In every other case where we have a police-involved shooting and body camera footage, they show everything right up until shots fired, except here. As we can see, the lack of footage and transparency from the Dolton police and Mayor Tiffany Henyard is critical to knowing what truly happened. This is a case that demands answers. Tiffany Henyard is withholding critical information from this family and the public. Usually, a white officer killing a black civilian is national news, but no charges were filed against Officer Carlton as a decision was made from the edited version of the footage. The Wilson family and the public deserve answers. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Also, let us hear what you think in the comments.
Yeah, so I really appreciate his breakdown of this. I got a quick question. The gun, did they claim that she had the gun? I know we heard on the news the 911 call, and they said she had the gun.
That was a lie. There was never a gun brandished. The police admitted that much.
Okay.
But 4 days later, they claimed to have found a gun, and the story about finding the gun has also had a few different nuances.
Okay.
So it was they found it on the scene. But if they found it on the scene, why were they reporting no gun? Because they wanted to find a gun. Of course, they wanted to find a gun after they killed her.
Right.
So you have for 4 days in a row, them reporting no gun has been found, no gun is found, no gun is found. On day 4, gun.
Okay. And you told me her boyfriend ended up going to jail for that gun they found 4 days later.
So they put him in jail. Didn't have trial for a very long time. He never got trial.
Okay.
Because basically they offered him to take a plea deal of 6 years.
Okay.
He said he asked his attorney, because they're telling him if you go to court, they're giving you 17 years.
Okay.
So he's like, well, can you ask them, 5? Can we agree on 5? He asked them 5. They came back and told him 11.
No.
When he asked for 5, they said, okay, well, 11 years then.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next story, they came back before they were to go to court again. They came back and told him 7. So he jumped on the 7 after they threatened him with 17 and 11. Then 7 all of a sudden sounded wonderful as opposed to what they were telling him he would get. And this is a kid with no money and a public defender. And, my experience with people that I've seen use public defenders walk you through being prosecuted.
Oh yeah, they just
and then they go out
you
to
down,
lunch with the
please
person that they
prosecutors
made this agreement with.
Did he have a criminal record?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
During my deposition, they did say, "Well, do you know that he has a record?" I said, "No." She'd been dating this guy about a year.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't in jail any time that I knew of. And of course, that's probably something that he wouldn't want to disclose to me if that were.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. You can't tell the mama. Well, I did a bit. That would be crazy.
So I not. That's still I haven't. I have no other information about that.
Okay.
But I do know that. Like I said, they definitely played with the time and had him scared to death after watching his girlfriend get gunned down.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
So he's in there trying to get home basically.
Right.
And they're threatening him with 11 and 17 years.
Yeah. Yeah, this is such a tragic, crazy incident. Now I want to get on Officer Perez. Officer Perez, he was a part-time police officer, right?
I don't know whether he was full-time or part-time.
Okay.
I do know that he had been with the force about 6 years by the time he'd had this incident with Alexis, and there were 3 bodies on him by then already. And he shot another person not even a year later. That following May of 22, he shot someone else. I believe they survived, but they also were across the street from Baba's.
Really?
Yeah, a resident that lived on that block.
Um,
So you have this town with these Black administrators with this non-Black person. Even if it was a Black person, you're letting this guy go around killing civilians.
yeah, I mean,
and even if it was like, I heard of one where he shot a guy who was in the commission of a crime, but he was running away.
So
and
he shot him in the back?
Yes, he did. He killed a man in a hospital.
Oh my goodness. That is.
You're in a hospital. He could have been sedated.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I did hear that, and when you pull up Perez record, they call it, when it's a police shooting and the police actually kill somebody, they say our officer involved shooting.
Mm-hmm.
They killed this person. They always use officer involved.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in 2016, he killed somebody at the Shell gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one in 2018, he killed the guy at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and you could imagine, like at a hospital, what weapons do you have to use at a hospital?
Yeah, yeah. That's why I said they could have easily sedated the man.
Yeah, yeah. So this guy, he's been involved in a lot of trouble.
Well, he and Lacey were partners when the two boys in the vehicle, the largest lawsuit in the state of Illinois, $33.5 million between two young men and the I guess a police chase that they were told to discontinue.
And they kept on continuing.
They pursued and ran him into a pole or a building, or I'm not really sure what he ran him into, or what they ran into. But one that resulted in one fatality, and the other one was a traumatic brain injury.
And you said him and Lacey was involved in it?
That was he and Lacey. Yes.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
And actually, Tiffany had given him a promotion and a raise. She promoted him to detective after the fourth person he shot. I believe he resigned.
You talking about Lacey?
No, Perez.
Oh, Perez resigned?
Mm-hmm. After being promoted to detective.
But he's back on, right? Or no?
Not that I know of. Last I talked to someone, they said that he had resigned. So he's in somebody else's town. So you guys need to be careful.
Yeah,
Find out
we can have it.
Your police force.
Yeah.
Because again, he's killed several people in Dolton. I don't know what else he's done elsewhere.
That's crazy. He killed several people and injured a whole bunch.
Yeah.
This is the only people that we know of.
And he's not been reprimanded for any of it. Officer Carlton, he was a rookie. So you have a serial killer training a rookie who got his first kill that night. At least the first one I know of.
I think Officer Jared, you talking about Jared Carlton, I think he joined the first force in 2021. I think that's what it said.
Mm-hmm. So he was a rookie.
Yeah. Yeah, 2021.
Being trained by a man that shoots everybody.
He shoots first and asks questions.
Think that's a great the right person to be training your incoming staff?
Yeah.
Your worst officer. That makes no sense. But Carlton, which is another thing I believe, I honestly believe his conscience got to him because he never came back.
Oh, so he's on leave or whatever?
I think he just quit. Now, I'm not sure, but I talked to a lot of the same people you have that live in Dolton. From my understanding, he never returned.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
Because you got to think at that time, we're at the police station almost, and we're protesting. We're protesting at the police station. We're protesting at Baba's. We were everywhere trying to get them to tell the truth. You know how a few feelings I felt. One is betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
I felt betrayed by a system that's supposed to protect us.
Mm-hmm.
Same people I would call if something had happened to my kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but for them to be the perpetrators, that hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Then to turn around, drag her name through the mud,
Mm-hmm.
try to blame it all on her, and then that you know, inmate mayor, without even seeing any video, stood there and said, "I stand with my cops. They did the right thing and they took a criminal off the streets of Dolton, and probably prevented other crimes that might have or would have or could have taken place." So that's what had us protesting outside her house with her mugshot. Alexis went to Homewood Flossmoor High School, a cheerleader. That's one of the best schools in our state.
Mm-hmm.
I have her father and I married 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we raised our kids together. They all
Mm-hmm.
have the same father,
Mm-hmm.
you know, except for my oldest kid. My oldest kid, we both had one kid when we met, and
Mm-hmm.
then we proceeded to have 4 together.
Mm-hmm.
Alexis was our second daughter to die. Her sister would have been 16 this year. She died at birth.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I went to college most of their life. You know, we've done what people say, do the right things, and we did that.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter goes to a neighboring community to get food and winds up dead by corrupt officers. That town from the head down is corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I was begging for someone to pay attention and listen. It felt like I was screaming under sand,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm knowing what they did. And see, the release of that body cam footage, they wanted to get the jump on us,
Mm-hmm.
because we did go see that body cam the day before. Illinois State Police promised that it would not be released until those officers were deposed, and they had still not been deposed. They said in order to, they do that so that the officers can't create a narrative on the footage.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, I get a call. My lawyer's like, "Hey, don't turn on the TV. Call your mom, call your family, tell them don't watch the news. They just released that body cam footage."
Mm-hmm.
But it was edited. And so when we got to the police station, they were literally handing out flash sticks to all of the media with the edited version that they wanted you to see on it, but we'd seen it the day before. So they didn't want us to release it or
Mm-hmm.
to, we don't have the power to release it. I don't have the body cam footage myself.
Right.
So, like I said, Illinois State Police promises they won't. The next day they do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we believe that. I don't know, because everything they'd shown us up to that point was that they lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, too, once the mayor told that lie about her being a criminal and being taken off the streets, she couldn't eat it. So they did everything they could to make it look like she deserved what happened to her.
That's sad. And you said that the state investigated this, right?
Yeah, Illinois State Police. The same police that were there arresting protesters when we were protesting outside of a meeting that she actually showed up to. Lacey and the Illinois State Police, the whole department, they were all out there. So they arrested the protesters. So you have Illinois State Police out there joining Dolton Police, allowing and helping to arrest protesters, which is a violation of their First Amendment rights. And those protesters that were arrested won $50,000 each in lawsuits.
Oh, the protesters did?
Yes.
Because unlawful arrests.
Yes. But the Illinois State Police was right. So how can I trust that? And now they say they can't tell whether she hit him or he hit her. But don't you have access to all of the body cam footage?
And the not only the body cam footage, you had two
Baba's, yes.
two angles on Baba's camera.
So
I
where is
mean,
all
where's
that
that
footage?
footage at? You could see
Exactly.
before and after. I mean,
Exactly. And like you said earlier, if they were in the right, if they had no guilt about or no, if they had probable cause and justification, they would have released it all.
They would have released
But
it all.
we're going on almost 3 years now. As of this July, it'll be 3 years, and still no release of the unedited body cam footage. But nobody's been pushing because, see, the local news likes that narrative. They like the idea of her being killed because she drug cops. That's sensational. I wrote letters to everyone. I begged them to really review that footage and show me where the officer was being drugged. Show me where she aimed her car at someone, or even a police car that had someone in it. Show me.
What they probably don't want to look like they have to recant their statement because
Exactly. So
I'm the news, I do the
hasn't
journal
touched it.
investigation. We're gonna stick with this story until somebody
Exactly.
forces us otherwise. And the only way it would be forced otherwise if the whole footage release, and then
Exactly.
it'll contradict what they originally told.
Now, if you see the footage from that meeting where I spoke to her, most of all of you guys watched Dolton and pulled it from Dolton's page. Well, at the end of my speaking, when the man says justice for Alexis Wilson, the crowd inside starts cheering justice for Alexis. The police then escort us out, and when the doors open, you can hear people screaming Lexi's name. They cut all of that out. The news didn't even show it. Now, that was the most dramatic thing. That was what shut the meeting down, right? Local media didn't show it at all. They used some of my lines from what I said to her, but never attributed it to me by name, and nor did they ever mention Alexis.
Yeah.
So that's why the coverage that all of you guys are doing, Drinking Gourd, Shay at Late Night Crew, Burgundy Blue, and Della Cremdella, and all of you that are telling the story and showing what actually happened is a tremendous help to me. Because like I said, from now, it just seems like you saw the comments. I get, well, every parent alive for their kid, and every parent thinks their kid was right. And, lady, she was doing this and she was doing that. Nothing she did deserved immediate execution by a firing squad.
No, she didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve nobody hopping in her car and punching her in the face. That was like that's crazy.
And up until that point, she had not even done anything illegal except for hit that window, which was bulletproof, and it was a plastic flagpole.
Well, that's not illegal though. That's just like, I want my damn food.
Yeah, and like I said, if we're gonna go by the justification that she deserved that based on banging on a window, then everybody at the White House on January 6th should be dead.
Oh yeah.
They climbed walls, broke windows, went through. Come on.
But and then you use. I think people are saying, "Oh, you got to comply. You got to comply. You got to comply." Yeah, that's true. But when do you draw the line? And the officer is invading my personal space and he's punching me in my face. So I'm right now, am I complying with him? Is he complying by the law?
And if he's doing this now, what's he going to do if I get out of the car?
Exactly. And that's how I will feel. Just being a woman, I would feel like that.
But this woman, this young girl is saying, I'm not dressed. Why would you be reaching in her vehicle? Now, if you see the other news channel, they tried to disguise that as reaching in to grab the keys. The car was keyless entry. The officer on the other side of the car already had my key fob because it was in the boy's pocket.
Okay.
They'd actually taken it out and threw it across the parking lot.
So she wouldn't have got
She couldn't have got too far at all. Car would deactivate itself.
Oh my goodness. So this was totally wrong. I got some, let me just get to some of these super chats. Chavez Grinard, he says justice for Alexis Wilson. Really appreciate for the super chat. And then we have John Luna. He's saying Cara, you're a strong woman and love your determination to get #justice for Alexis. Stay strong. And Chawanne Burns, absolutely love your channel and coverage on this, Dolton. Also love your point of view. There is a question from John Q. Let me just find it. He asked this question. Oh, he's asking, what was the results of the court filings that you put in? Did you appeal the court ruling for relief?
Okay, so currently we do have a lawsuit, of course, in place, but it's going very slow. As far as the court, are we referring to like the Illinois State Police ruling to not charge the officers? That I would like to find out how to appeal or how to get it reinvestigated, because I don't know that, but I have been researching.
Okay.
I've called the FBI. I've called the Department of Justice.
Okay.
It needs to, that video needs to, that the full raw body cam needs to be reviewed and audited.
This is a conundrum. She puts on here, well, I don't know if it's a she or he, I'm sorry. Once a video has been released to the public, anyone could file a 4-year request and get the entire unredacted video.
Okay, so I have filed several FOIAs.
Okay.
And if you know anything about Dolton, they're not turning anything over. Everybody's been, my attorney actually won a lawsuit on a FOIA because they didn't turn over the information requested.
Okay. Okay. So right now you just have a civil suit against Dolton, right?
Right. But what I'd like to see is those officers actually be punished.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That there's no way what they did is okay.
Yeah. The attorney, because I read some of the filings and what the court ruled, I think, they were speaking about, let me just go back to it. They're saying that, I guess they mentioned Officer Perez, and I guess you guys were trying to sue Dolton, Illinois, because Officer Perez have not been properly trained.
Nor reprimanded.
Nor reprimanded.
Correct.
And you mentioned the incidents prior to him even interacting with your daughter.
Correct.
And it's interesting how the court ruled, saying, because I guess the way that they worded it was like, yeah, if your lawyer would have said something different, they would have maybe ruled in your favor. That's the way I read it. And I'm not for sure if you read the ruling. Have you had a chance?
When I started to read it and they were just reiterating the lies told by Dolton police, I stopped reading it, because it's infuriating to see, like, you guys are put in these positions because you're supposed to be the best of the best and the smartest, but you can't see for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You watch that video and you still have doubts on whether she was hit. Aren't you guys supposed to be the best investigators? How do you still have that question? If you and I can see it, why couldn't they? So to me, it was just another bunch of lies, And again, I'm seeing someone say something about a gun. She did not have a gun. They never brandished a gun, and the police even admit that. So they will say, oh, no gun was recovered. They said no gun was recovered for 4 days. So there was never, and even when we were asking, when they were at the door and we're saying, well, did she crash into someone and they shot her? Did she get shot and then crash? We never even had a thought in our head that our daughter had a gun. Not one thought.
Yeah.
Again, she was a good kid, about to go to college. She was opening her own business, had already bought all her supplies and everything to open her last shop. I'm an entrepreneur. I have 4 degrees. My
Mhm.
daughter, my kids go to college. They have degrees too. I have
Mhm.
one in DePaul right now. My kids are good kids.
Mhm. Mhm. Um, I don't think the gun is well. So I got my record expunged. I don't know if you got some people. If you follow me, you probably heard this story. But I got my record expunged. I end up getting actually it was a felony, and Illinois just changed their law. I did have a gun in my car. It wasn't loaded or anything like that, but it was in my car. This was back 1999 and probably early 2000. But anyway, I don't think the gun determines anything. If I'm
Exactly.
able to access the gun, okay, I have guns on my person and it's loaded, and I'm able to reach it. But if it's under the seat in the back seat somewhere and I'm not able to reach it,
Well, they're not even supposed to look past arm's length if you get pulled over. My first degree is in law,
okay.
but they're not supposed to reach past not anything locked and not anything past arm's length. But we don't know that.
Yeah, did they even mention where they found the gun?
No.
They just said
A
we
lot of the
found the
footage,
gun.
I literally just stopped watching because I could not take it. I was already so heartbroken.
Okay.
To hear them continue to lie on my daughter it just hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and watching the videos that everybody's been doing lately, where they're actually dismantling the lies, I can stomach that better
Mm-hmm.
because they can see what I'm seeing, what I've been saying, that I've been seeing since day one, but they want it so bad to make it her fault. They wanted it so bad that even when the guy went to court, they were calling my daughter a co-defendant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And why would they do that? So that gives them something to use when we go to court.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they have to make sure that they're painting you and Alexis as the criminals.
And see, and I honestly, I honestly don't believe that he had a gun. I don't believe there was a gun in the vehicle at all. Again, I signed my car into their evidence the day they show up and tell me that she's deceased. But the way they give me the announcement is, well, there was an incident with a shooting and a crash, and we don't know what killed her yet. There's police on the scene and it's being investigated. Can you sign your vehicle over to us? And of course, I'm more than ready to sign over my vehicle. Please find out who did this to her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And by the time they walk out the door, I'm hearing crazy lady with a gun on the TV, and I'm not paying these stories no attention because everything they're saying sounds nothing like my kid. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm knowing that this shooting happened in Dolton.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even tune into that. It had to be someone like my ex-husband had called and said, I think the police did this. And then somebody called and told him that it was my car that was being pulled, or he saw it and called me back and said my car was being pulled out of that building. And that's how we found out it was Alexis. It was on the news. They didn't even have that conversation. We're calling the police station, calling. They answered one time, put us on hold, and then stopped answering. Like they never came back when they put us on hold. They stopped answering our calls. We knew something was wrong. When they got on TV and Sean Howard, he was Tiffany's PR person at that time. He said over and over, she weaponized the vehicle. He said it so often, we immediately begin to doubt it.
Okay.
It's like he was trying to convince himself. Mm-hmm. And then when you see the video, you don't see any weaponizing of the video. You see a 19-year-old girl running from a man punching her.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it's so many questions that they need to. I think if the whole body camera footage was released, it would clear up some of these questions that the public have, and then them painting your daughter like she was going around brandishing a weapon.
But see,
And
they
then that
even,
wasn't so.
like I said, they even say, the police say, you'll hear the news, and there was no gun found. They never, Alexis was hitting the window with a stick. There was no gun. There was no gun. No one was waving a gun. No one was brandishing a gun. Nobody, no gun. And for 4 days, they could not find a gun. So to come back 4 days later and say they found one, I don't even trust it. Because the entire way that they've treated me since they killed my child has been in a disrespectful manner, no empathy, no cause from them to explain what happened to her. They wouldn't even answer the phone for us. And then they put out all this false narratives so that it can make them look better. But like I said, these videos that you guys are doing are showing the truth. You never see a gun. You never see her drag anybody. You never see her do anything but bang on a damn window. That's it. That's it. They took her money. They took her food. She had every right to be upset. And she had every right to run from a man that was punching her.
Yeah, and I think that's crazy. Getting punched by a police officer, and that's just, and I'm in my car. He's in between a drive-through window and her. This, to me,
and if
is
you're
like,
so scared she's got a gun, why would you be that close to the vehicle?
Why would you be that close?
Holster your weapons?
Yeah.
They holstered, but he holstered to punch.
Yeah, that's what he did. He wanted to punch her. Yeah, well, what would you say to people that you hope will be the next step? You hope will be, what would be the ideal scenario or situation for the next steps?
That we get that full body cam released and the officers are reinvestigated, or reinvestigate the case.
Okay.
And like I said, I feel so betrayed by the system that I can't believe any of it. Even when it comes down to the Illinois State Police agreeing with Dolton, why wouldn't you all pull all the footage? Why would you make that determination without pulling all of the footage?
Yeah, I think that's really odd. Did you even ask? Were you able to ask questions, or your lawyer was able to ask questions? How did you determine your decision? Was it based off the full body camera, or was it based off the edited version?
They gave me a report, and to be honest, I don't know what I did with it at this point, but the guy from Drinking Board had a copy of it. But they gave me a report on what made them why they made that decision. But like I said, I read through that first couple of paragraphs and I saw that they were just reiterating the lies that Dolton told. Now I can't trust you either, because you're not looking at this fairly. You're going into it having the police's back. And I get it. This has been such an uphill battle because people want so badly to believe the police that they can look at that footage that we just watched and still say she did something wrong.
I think some of the people at the restaurants, I believe I seen a couple of people in the stream saying, they called and said Alexis had this gun.
Yes.
They should be responsible for something. You made a false report.
Yes. Yes.
You made a false report. And then the police showed up on 29 thinking they were going to encounter somebody with a gun.
But see, then they find a little girl in the car without one.
Yeah.
And they holster their guns. And why the rest?
Right.
Why the rest? Why not, like you said, have her pull up so she can just have a civil conversation with her? And when she said she wasn't dressed, there was a woman right there. Let the woman take care of it.
Well, that's Officer Perez. He
Right.
he wants to beat on people and
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So that's just his MO. Well, I'm going to be praying for you, praying for healing, praying for your family, praying for justice, you know.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
so.
And like I said, if my daughter had done anything wrong that night, I can take that.
Mhm.
Kids do stuff all the time. I could
Mhm.
take it. Of course, when I saw her banging on that window, I'm like, God, Alexis.
Yeah,
But
why
again,
you doing that? Yeah, but
that's no reason to die.
yeah.
That's not a reason to die. And they weren't even there to witness that. And like I said, at the end of the video, what they edited out is the employees admitting that they saw no gun. So in this entire time, and I'm so sick of people talking about this gun that nobody saw.
Mhm.
So sick of people blaming the gun as the reason. That was an after. They didn't see a gun when they pulled up. They didn't see a gun when they holstered their gun weapons. You see them all in my car looking in my back seat and no gun. 4 days later, they claim a gun. I don't believe it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I saw someone say here about the boy taking the charge, even though he was innocent. I get so sick of this one too. How many times have you seen or heard of somebody being in a position where they have to take a plea because if they go to court, they're going to give that person much more time just for going to court?
I see.
And it's sometimes set up against us because, again, you tell these stories that people want to believe.
Well, to the young man, if he had right guidance, he wouldn't be in jail right now.
If he had money,
yeah.
if he had an attorney that he could actually afford,
Mhm.
then that attorney would have been in there fighting for him, as
Yeah.
opposed to a public defender that's just walking this kid. Again, he's a 19-year-old boy. He's being walked through prosecution, and they're telling you 17 years or 7. Well, I'm going to eat that 7. I'm going to have to take that 7, or you telling me I got to do 10 more than that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So and a lot of these young men that get caught up in that, having to make that decision, even if they're innocent, they know that no one is going to fight for their truth.
Mhm. Mhm.
No one is going to fight for them.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm going to pray for you and your family. I really appreciate you just joining us and telling your truth, and telling what really happened and what transpired and what we're not seeing on the news.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but I'll be following up with you if I told you I had this one guy I sat next to on the airplane, and he does a lot of community, or actually police and justice work. That's all they do. And he was he wasn't an attorney, but he worked for a law firm. But I need to find his information. It was a couple of years ago when I ran
I
into
definitely
him.
would love to be put in touch with some people that are more knowledgeable about this system than I am.
Yeah.
My legal expertise is really, I was going to court to be going to school to be a corporate attorney. It wasn't it wasn't
Yeah.
criminal, so I know more about those contracts and things like that, as opposed to criminal law. But if someone, I'm open to anyone pointing me in the right direction, and letting me know where I should go. Unfortunately, my attorney is not so interested in that aspect.
Yeah, he's more interested in a civil type of
The
lawsuit.
lawsuit. Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to see these cops be reprimanded, or at least disrespected the way they've disrespected my daughter these last 3 years.
Mhm. Well, what's this? Jared Carlton? He might be in a psych ward. If you said he quit,
I have no clue what happened to him. And like you said, he had just joined the force.
Yeah, I mean, if you could imagine,
trained by a serial killer.
Yeah.
So he killed. Maybe he's not it. Maybe killing her didn't sit on his conscience as well as Perez can do it. I would hope that he had some stroke of sorrow or regret.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I'm not going anywhere. This fight is on.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll be keeping in touch with you, and I really appreciate you for joining. I had some, I don't know if you want to hang out and ask some more questions of the audience. I had one audience member trying to join in. It all depends. If they talking crazy, I'm not going to let them join, but let me see. I'm going to drop the live stream chat. If you guys want to ask questions from Miss Wilson. Miss Wilson, do you mind asking?
Oh, not at all.
Okay.
See, again, when you're telling the truth, there's nothing that you have to hide.
Okay.
My story doesn't change.
Yeah. So you guys, if you want to join in on the live stream, I just dropped the link, and you could. Oh, Conundrum, I just dropped the link, and just chime on in, come on up. You got to make sure your face is shown too, and your mic is on. Let me just read some of. Okay, Kay is in the building. Kay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I called you Conundrum. Is it K or Q?
Either one will be fine.
Okay. Okay.
Long as you write the check properly.
Right. Thank you for your super chat. Really appreciate that.
No problem.
What type of questions do you have?
Not so much a question.
Okay.
I am more of an objective thinker. Let me give you my background. I was admitted to Louisiana bar in 1998. I practiced up until 2013, went into private businesses, and just decided to leave law alone. One of the things that we have to be very cognizant of, especially in situations like this, is what are our rights as it relates to law. I heard the young lady mention that police officers are not allowed to look past arm's length. That is not factual. The terminology, the legal language for that is anything within plain sight. Yes, if you have a locked compartment somewhere in your vehicle on your person, they would need to have a warrant to search that unless there's probable cause.
Are you? Let me just. This is Illinois law, or what is this?
This is superseded by the United States federal courts.
Okay.
Now, if you find something that says otherwise, I would definitely love to see it.
Okay.
That would be, I would say, very close to a Terry involved into the Terry stop, which gives a broad definition as to what an officer is allowed to search you for upon approach. Needless to say, one of the things that I think that we should walk away from this with is being able to educate others on what not to do. Here is one of the things that officers look forward to having done, which is shooting someone in a vehicle that's moving. A vehicle, once in gear, can be considered a dangerous weapon. Please don't take my word for it. Google it.
Well, we know that, but
yeah,
the officers in the vehicle.
Right. Well, okay, so as it relates to that, I've seen this. Matter of fact, one case comes to mind: Joseph Williams, who was a musician in New Orleans. Almost the exact same scenario.
Okay.
I think the detective, and his name was Bruce Little. You probably can Google it. Joseph Williams, New Orleans musician. Almost the exact same scenario. One of the things that's in officers' training is whenever they encounter a vehicle that they don't want that vehicle to move, they're going to reach inside their vehicle to either try to disable that vehicle or try to get the keys. You said there was a key fob, so I'm presuming that that officer may have tried to get into the car to put it in gear. If there was a struggle for to keep that officer from actually touching anything in that car, it's unfortunate, but that officer can strike a blow. It's very unfortunate. Needless to say, all of this changes the trajectory with the 911 call that was made. Whenever an officer comes out to a scene, now I've never been a police officer, never wanted to be one, but I've seen these cases on appeal so many times I could throw up. The aggravating factor in this entire scenario was the 911 phone call that came through where the guy said that there was a gun. Even if a gun is not found, it doesn't mean that the officer is not going to react as if there is one. So even if they don't find the gun, it doesn't change how they react to the 911 call. Now, had they not said that, if they would just say she had a stick, this would be a totally different situation.
Okay.
Fault falls initially on the phone call that was made. If you call and you say someone is out in the streets, just hypothetically, if you call and say, hey, there's a guy out in the middle of the street shouting to the top of his lungs. But as soon as you put in any object that is an aggravating circumstance, which is a knife, a stick, a gun, they're going to treat it differently. So now, does that mean that the city of Dolton does not owe you some repair for a wrongful death? Yes, they do. But you also have to understand that how these things play out. My greatest suggestion for you, ma'am, what's your name again, Ms. Wilson?
Cara.
Ms. Wilson, Ms. Cara. Research similar cases. Research similar cases. You can ask your attorney. I'm not sure what the statute around, it won't be a statute, but you can research similar cases and you can see how courts have ruled on things like this. Basically, whenever you have a case and you're appealing it, you're actually appealing to see how other courts have spoken on situations such as yours. I guarantee you will find plenty of cases that are similar to yours. Your biggest interest, if a cop was found liable or guilty or whatever, you'll want to know, what did that court say, or what did that court use as it relates to precedent cases that would agree with what you're alleging. You follow me? So there are many cases you can find where cops have been in this particular situation. You just need to know how to go through it and figure out, because whatever case that you find, whether it was affirmed or denied, there's going to be an explanation for it, and there'll be case law to back it up. So that's all I want to. I think it was very, very unfortunate, but there are people who don't understand, especially when cops fire shots. You have to understand there is no limit as to how many shots they could fire. Their main objective is to neutralize and kill the target. It is so inhumane. It is so unfortunate. I've seen so many situations where it may not have been needed. There are, as a matter of fact, oh my God, this is crazy. Iron, who's another musician, actually is the brother of the gentleman who was killed by NOPD, was one of the first cases in Louisiana where they have started calling off chases because of endangering the public. I think that had the gun not been mentioned, they would have just let her drive off and got the license plate number and ran it and went got her. But because there's the mentioning of a gun, it changes the trajectory. Now, whoever it was that made that phone call, that's the person initially at fault. Because if he thought he saw a gun, he should have said, I don't know if it's a gun. He said there is a gun. Now, whether or not he may have recanted that and said, hey, I thought I saw it. That first phone call is what caused the problem.
No, at the end of the body cam footage that hasn't been released, they asked the employees, did they see a gun, and they say no.
Right, but that would be post. We're talking about the initial phone call, that initial 911 call. When you say someone has a gun, that doesn't get any resolve until after they've discovered whether or not there was a gun or not. And so, like I said, I think that the law should be changed, but I think it would be difficult to do. That gives the officer a right to treat a vehicle under certain circumstances as a dangerous weapon. Now, there are some situations such as the idiot that drove through a crowd of people in North Carolina, I think, or was it Virginia? Yes, at that point, that should be considered a dangerous weapon. But if there's no one in the path of that vehicle, cops will then put themselves in the path of that vehicle just for the purpose of firing a shot. And the Supreme Court will uphold them as that they're in the right. It's unfortunate. You don't have to put yourself in harm's way, but you put yourself in harm's way to take a life. That is the part of the law I don't agree with. So that cop
was trigger happy. That cop has shot many people.
I'll put it like this. I would say maybe 90% of the officers that have been put on most of the law enforcement forces around the country, and I guarantee if you ever dig into the history of that gentleman, you're going to find that he served time somewhere where he was in a war zone.
Probably.
Where he's dealt with combat. It happens. And it's unfortunate you have some cops, just like you have some firefighters that can't wait for someone to say fire. You have some police officers that are just trigger happy as well. It's unfortunate.
Absolutely.
I have a 19-year-old. I couldn't fathom what you're going through. But we have to look at this from a very objective position. Yes, I would love to see if someone did some harm in the community, did wrong, especially to a member of the community. They need to be, their feet need to be held to the fire. But at the same time, we have to educate ourselves, especially as Black people. So that's just my 2 cents. I'll chime out and continue listening in.
Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Yeah, I believe, we do have to educate ourselves. We do have another super chat. The Real Late Night Crew, hashtag justice for Alexis Wilson.
Thank you, Shay.
Yeah. I don't see any more questions in here. I don't know if that's possible. All Eyes on Me said she needs to sue Babas. I don't know.
I think there was like a 1-year window, but my attorney wasn't interested in it.
Okay.
But I thought that something should be done because, again, you called in a false report and eventually admitted that it was a false report.
Yeah, that's sad.
They were actually looking at when the police arrived, because I did go into Bowers and I could see that they showed me the video. The guy's telling me, well, they were afraid for their life, but I can see them watching the video in the back laughing up until shots are fired. They're back there laughing.
Yeah, I mean, because you think, oh, I'm going to call the cops on you, but you don't think that's going to happen when that would probably be the furthest thing from your mind. Like, oh, we taught her. Yeah. Kay is back. Did you have something else to say, Kay?
Yes, one more thing. You said that you have a year and a day. Yes, you do. That changes if you learn something new outside of that time. So if you learned within the last 366 days that they changed the story at the end of the body cam? When did you review the body cam?
It was the day before.
When did you learn they changed your story?
Before they released it.
When did you learn they changed your story? Has it been more than a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've heard nothing new from Baba's at all.
Well, if you had heard that they changed their story at the end of the body cam within the last year, those time limitations will change. Those time restrictions will change. So you could, if someone, if I think someone set my house on fire accidentally, and I don't sue them within that year, and then I find out 7 years down the line, yeah, they were actually doing it on purpose, I could sue them at that point.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
No problem.
I need to do some digging.
Yeah, and you might want to seek out a different attorney. It seemed like your attorney, he kind of, I know you. He probably wants more bang for his buck, but you still got to do the right thing. So, well, I think that's it we've been on for about an hour and a half, or a little bit over an hour and a half. I really appreciate you joining us. If you call me anytime, if you ever want to talk, I have an open line.
I thank you. And I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you joining, and we do want to seek justice, and I'm sending my prayers to you. Okay,
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you. I'll talk to you later.
All righty, have a good evening.
All right, you too. Yeah, so you guys, I really appreciate every single last one of you. I know this live stream was a little bit different than what we normally have. I know some people in the chat, you got to comply. I'm not anti-police or anything like that, but I do think that some excessive force, I don't even think it's excessive force. I think just some police officers, they just kind of crazy, and they give other police officers a bad name. So that's the whole point of me inviting Alexis Wilson, on a mother, on the stream, is because it just doesn't sit well with me where you're painting this young lady as just a crazed individual, and I don't see that. If they release all the body camera and the story adds up to what they're talking about, okay, then we have something else to talk about. But I just don't see what the news is painting. Anywho, we do have another streamer, Clinton. Clinton, how are you?
I'm all right.
How's it going?
It's going good. I'm just here to support my cousin.
Okay, you know what? You talking about Miss Wilson?
Yes, and my little cousin Lexi.
Yeah. Well, she not on the stream anymore, but
okay.
yeah, we're all in support of her, and I think Dolton got some shady individuals in the Dolton police force.
It was wrong. It was wrong what a police officer did.
Mm-hmm.
The police officer had no right to punch her, and that set off a chain. And that was wrong.
Yeah.
And it seemed like nobody's doing nothing to help my cousin. No one. And this thing here, I don't know why Ben Crump never took this case, or anybody else. This was open and shut. My cousin has suffered for this, and we're gonna get justice for Alexis. We're gonna get justice for her, because this was definitely wrong. Definitely wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I just applaud your help because we need all the help we can.
Yeah.
My cousin really needs to help get justice for her daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alexis was a good person.
Yeah.
She
Well,
was a
I'm
great person.
yeah, I'm sending all my prayers to you guys and the family. And
Matter of fact, Alexis came down with us in Atlanta when we was living in Atlanta. Got a driver's license. She came down. She just came down for a little while for us with us, and she had a goal. She wanted to go to college. She like, hey, I'm going back to college. I'm gonna go to college, and this. I mean, we were so proud of her, proud of her. And when that happened, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, no. But when I seen the officer punch her, and she was telling him, I'm not dressed. And one officer got in the vehicle, and she was talking to him, and then this other officer just punched her dead in her face. I mean, this is a young child, a female. What you think she's gonna do? First thing she's gonna do is step on the gas. She don't want to get hit again.
yeah, he hit her twice too.
Yeah,
So,
she don't want to get hit again. But when they do the background check on that officer, before he came over there, another African American in Chicago got killed. He's involved in that. Then when all this transpired, this guy get a promotion, then able to retire. Are you kidding me?
that's crazy.
What's wrong with Illinois, man?
Yeah, the Illinois is something in the water, I guess. You know.
What's wrong with Illinois?
Mm.
You know, I was in the military. That would have never float. It would never fly. Somebody dropped the ball, and internal affairs from Washington, D.C. need to get on this case just like they got on the case with the two guys from Mississippi. They need to overstep the internal affairs. They need to overstep their internal affairs in Illinois and say, we're taking over this case. That's the only way something's going to be brought up. If internal affairs from Washington, D.C. come and supersede internal affairs in Chicago or Illinois, that's the only way something's going to be found. Because there's a lot of, hush, 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 hush. They don't want to get caught out there. But you see what internal affairs did in Nashville? They took over the case. What happened? You got 6 officers going to jail now?
Are you talking about in Memphis?
Yeah, Memphis.
Yeah.
6 officers gonna go to jail for killing this guy for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm gonna tell you right now, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out that this officer has a history. And Tiffany, she pops out, this, that, before she even knew what was going on. They're going to get her and her corrupted crew. They're going to get them all. That's all right. You know, God is not asleep. God is not asleep. And she may think she's the thug of Dolton, but her empire is going down.
Yeah.
And it's going down slowly. She should never went on rolling, talking this stuff. She opened a can of worms and she opened it up on herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like they say, BS goes downhill. Oh, it's traveling.
Yeah.
And she thinks she's getting away. All she's doing is getting ready to get some time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the young lady that was working for her, she never reported her being sexually molested. Come on, man. What's wrong with you? And then you want to, I'm an African American female. Man, come on. You can't play the race card like that.
Yeah, she Tiffany thinks she above the law.
Oh yeah. And
She
right now,
thinks she's above the law.
My advice to those police officers that's working for her, you better come clean, or you be like those cops in Memphis.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You have every opportunity right now to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, once they catch you, it ain't no going back. You going to jail.
Yeah, it's too late now.
Right. So if you got families, all I can say is to the officers in Dolton, if you got families and you love your family, you better tell the truth.
Yeah.
Just like the Bible said, truth gonna set you free.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Because you keep playing behind Tiffany do not have enough money. She don't have enough money to keep you out of jail. Once internal affairs gets them, and matter of fact, Illinois, they on it. They on it. She did a lot of wise. I'm just watching the stuff that she's doing. I'm like, man, they can't see this. And then she thinks she's gonna get by Roland and tell Roland some nonsense. Roland's smarter than that. Roland peeked her card the first day. Second day, wham. You can't play around with Roland. You can't play around with someone that knows media.
Well, I wish Roland would have did his research when she was there. He did it after the fact.
You know what? He probably did his research, but just let her talk.
Let her catch her in a lie.
Demise. He let her talk her own self into her own demise.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for Alexis, nah, that everything we gonna do, everything Cara's doing, she's going, and yeah, she's running into a lot of stumbling blocks. But God's gonna open the door, the right door, and the right person gonna be able to see.
Yep.
And it's gonna be history. You can't hide what's done in the dark. It's gonna come out to the light.
Yeah.
And if I was Tiffany, I would just come clean quick. I would come clean quick and say, hey, enough is enough. Because all you doing is add more time, more time. The more you lie, the more charges come upon you.
And she keep on lying.
Oh, man.
On that podcast, she lying.
Talking about talking about Dolton's favorite mayor. Are you kidding me?
No.
And I can't understand why these guys are trying to stay. I just don't understand. You gonna put your family's life in jeopardy, in your livelihood, for someone that's lying, and you know they lying.
Well, you know, most of the people that's the problem. Most of the people that really support her are criminals themselves. You know, they're criminals themselves. So that's why they haven't jumped ship, because they're getting paid. Why leave? Because
you can get all the money in the world. It's not gonna keep you out of jail if they find you guilty. And
Mr. Clinton's Wi-Fi is janky right now. There you go.
Conspiracy is not gonna keep you out of jail. Conspiracy is not gonna keep you out of jail. So they might, man, I tell you what, I would not put my family's livelihood online for anybody that I know is lying. Nah, you can handle that bag yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when this happened in Carolyn, these guards, all they did was protest down the street. And man, people were getting arrested. Man, I was livid. I was livid. But it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Clinton's he got some streaming problems. We have a channel member. Thank you, Patricia. You, Mr. Clinton, your stream kept on cutting out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all I can say is just thank you, and please support Lexi. Man, I tell you what, this has been going on almost 3 years now, and the wound is still like it's fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Lexi, yeah, kids getting their thing, but I'm gonna tell you something. She was a great little girl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She was great. She was sweetheart. Do anything for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she would do anything for anybody, and was a big sister, man. And I tell you what.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, kids do things, and yeah, she could have like, hey, look, but that did not constitute her being murdered. I call that a murder.
No, it didn't. That has to change.
And then they said, yeah, the gun. They ain't had no gun. These two were kids, teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's wrong, man. It's wrong. It's wrong. I don't even want to go. You know, I'll stay away from Illinois. I'm going to stay away from that state until they make sure that justice is served. I said I'll never go back into that state till justice is served, because this is crazy. You know, this is really crazy. You African American officers gonna protect. You got one person that just stood up there and punched the boom, boom. Man, if somebody hit my daughter like that, I don't care. You can have bullets. We going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God I wasn't there. If he hit it like that, you'd have to shoot me.
Yeah.
You'd have to shoot me.
Well,
I'm going to fight.
Well, and we got to realize, you know, blue protects the blue. You know, they protect each other. So, I mean, all we could do is try to, you know, make them be held accountable.
Yeah, they need to be accountable. They need to be held accountable. I don't care if it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 20 years. You need to be accountable, held accountable.
And also what Q mentioned, or QK, the individual, the lawyer that was just joined us. I didn't know if you caught that.
Yeah,
stream.
I listened to him.
He's right. We just got to educate ourselves of what we should be doing, and teach our kids when we get in contact with police officers what we should do.
Right.
You know, so, but yeah, we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna
but thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure that, you know, they're not gonna be able to sweep this under the rug. We want all the videos released. So every footage they need to release that.
They need to release all unedited videos.
Unedited footage. Yep.
Right. They need to release these things, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, and we appreciate, and just keep her name alive, because we need to have justice for her.
Yeah, we do. And thank you for tuning in and coming up and contributing. I really appreciate you.
All right. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
No problem.
All right,
Have a good
bye-bye.
one. Bye. Okay, so you guys, I really appreciate every single last one of you. Justice for Alexis Wilson. We're gonna make sure we keep in contact with Miss Cara Wilson so we could stay up to date of what's going on with the case. You guys, if you like this type of thing, I don't normally do these type of streams, but like I appreciate the Q&A because sometimes I run out of things to say. So not necessarily this particular topic, but if you like, people, I'm able to join in and talk about whatever the subject is. We could actually do that on Fridays. Anyway, thank you, Lexi. You guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. And tomorrow, I do want to cover a topic tomorrow. Tomorrow is normally not my streaming day, but since I missed Thursday, I want to cover this topic. So tomorrow, probably mid-afternoon, I'll be streaming live for you. So anyway, you guys enjoy your evening, the rest of the evening, and I'm sending all my good to you. Mr. Martin Cash App, you can't get the Cash App to work. Is hashtag Shug Boss. That's my Cash App. I'll put it in the chat for you. But the Cash App is hashtag or Shug Boss. I think that's okay. So like I said, I'll see you tomorrow, and I'm sending all my good to you. I will talk to you tomorrow.